Hey, we are live. Supposed to be. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Got it. Don't know what the guidelines are, but we'll abide by them. Give it a few minutes on this Monday. See who all decides to join, if anyone at all. Got a soccer game going on right in front of me, so watching that. But my daughter is down on the other end of the field. Hey, there he is. What's up, Zach? What's going on, buddy? Long time no talk. I got your email, by the way. Appreciate that. I haven't reached out yet, but I got your email. Just got to the range. That's what I'm talking about. Dude, I bet when you go to the range, you probably got to haul a freaking trailer behind your vehicle. As much stuff as you probably have to take. I'm actually working on possibly downsizing the arsenal as we speak. There's a couple of things I want to try to tackle for my reloading setup. A couple of purchases I want to make, but they're a little spendy, so need to free up some cash. I am going to be selling some bullets. Definitely got that on the list. I got a mountain of 224 diameter stuff, 50 grain Hornady VMAX bullets. I got like 1,600 of those. I got 1,600 count boxes. I need to dump all those. I don't even own anything chambered 223. Yeah, extended cab truck and a truck bed. You better believe it. I miss having a truck. I've got a Nissan Xterra, and this is the first Nissan I've ever owned. Really big fan, by the way, of the Nissan Xterra. You don't have to pay the Toyota. What is it? The Toyota 4Runner tax. Like, those things are outrageously expensive. And this Nissan Xterra, I'm learning, is a very capable off-road vehicle. So, yeah, sell 2 to 3 yourself. Yep, yeah. And that's basically what I end up doing. Like, I'll buy, sell, trade. I mean, it drives my wife nuts. It drives my wife nuts on the hobbies that I have. But yeah, there's a couple of purchases I want to make. Did you buy a new vehicle? Well, and I got this probably, let's see, it's a 2012, I think, Nissan Xterra. Uh-oh, this message is held for review. View message. Oh, yeah, you're one of those. Yeah, lovely. Gotta love those people. I picked this up probably last summer. So, it's done great so far. Like I said, 2012, it was low-ish miles, maybe around 120,000 when I got it. You got a buddy that had one that was supercharged. Yeah, this has been really nice. I mean, it's pretty stock, bare bones Xterra. Really, the only thing it has is 4-wheel drive. It's got an automatic transmission, and power windows, and that's it. There's nothing else on this vehicle that's power. Not even the seats. Nothing. No, nothing. But it's got 4-wheel drive, so that has definitely come in handy over this past hunting season. especially when we took trips up to Kentucky to scout and or hunt. So really came in handy up there. What are you shooting at the range? Hope everyone's having a wonderful. Was on American Reloading Day. 7mm premium mix is in stock. Get it. You better buy it. I'm telling y'all. Can't sleep on American Reloading. You're welcome for any of those that I turned that place on to you. It is quickly becoming one of my favorite. It's almost a place, and I've got to stop, but it's almost a place I check daily to see what they have. Do you have any 708 you want to sell? Hey, I do, actually. Already ordered. My man, good job. I do have 708. Yes, I do. I actually have 3 boxes of factory ammo I'm looking to get rid of, and let's see. I don't have a ton of brass. I think I might have 100 pieces, but it's Starline, so it's definitely good stuff. And then I've got some. Yeah, I'm looking to fund. What am I looking to buy? Oh man, where do I begin? But yeah, Chad Hyde. I do not know how I could contact you to set that up in terms of getting the stuff to you. Gonna be perfect for 280 Ackley. Yes, 280 Ackley load development. That's one, like I've worked up loads for 280 Remington before. I'll circle back to you here in a second, Zach, to answer your question, but 280 Ackley improved. It seems like it's gaining some momentum, which is really awesome because the 280 Remington, in my opinion, is such an underrated cartridge. It's kind of like a 25-06. I mean, that it's not as, lightning fast as something like a 25-06. I mean, crap, you just take 30-06 and it down 25 and have at it. It's not necessarily to that extent, but the 280, man, the 280 Remington is such an awesome round for big game hunting, and it just, terrible that it never really took off like it probably should have. So, Zach, what am I looking to buy? Well, so the first thing on the list, reloading wise, that I would like to pick up would probably be an amp annealer. That's been number one on my list for quite some time, reloading wise. And I say it was number one. The Garmin kind of jumped on that number one spot when it came out, and I was able to get my hands on it. That sort of, it was kind of like the Garmin. I wanted to upgrade my chronograph to where I had some type of radar style chronograph. I didn't want to continue to use the magneto speed, which works just fine. And I still have that Sporter version. I actually need to get rid of it too, but it's the resale value on those things are probably next to nothing. I just ordered that last night. Dude, are you kidding me? Man, let me know what you think. It's going to be a while before I get one. But that's definitely a step in the reloading process that I have not even kind of gone down that rabbit hole as far as annealing goes. So it's one of those I really want to get into that. I want to add that step to my process where, oh man, that dude just busted it. I'm watching a soccer game right in front of me. My daughter's down practicing on the other end of the field, and they got a boys soccer game going on right now. Man, that dude just ate some grass. A great piece of kit for a chrono for sure. Yes, exactly. I mean, for what it is, and if, by the way, WCFD 5045, if you need a case to hold your chronograph, because which is terrible, they don't actually give you a case for a $600 chronograph. They just give you the tripod and the little unit and a little charging cord. But if you need a case, check out our buddy in the comments here, Reloading Quest. That's his YouTube channel. Extruded Customs is his 3D print shop over on Etsy, and he actually makes a custom Garmin chronograph case, a little 3D printed carry case and everything. He's got some foam inserts in there. It's the bee's knees when it comes to boy, that's a nice SUV right there. It's Duramax. Boy, sharp. It's really nice case. I got it in last week, and I keep my chronograph in that now, and I just throw it in the truck and take it to the range. So much better. Yeah, you saw that. Need to get one of those. Yep. Highly recommend it. Definitely get you one on order. And he did, so Zach did let me know that I was on his live stream. I caught the tail end of it last night, but he said that he's now adjusting the foam inserts in the case. Before he was cutting the foam by hand, but now I think he says it's going to be a different foam, and now it's going to be cut with a laser, I believe. So he's upgrading. That's what's great about Zach, is like upgrade the quality. You know, he's refining everything and always striving to do better. So I've had a few orders since you posted things. Oh, dude, you're welcome. I mean, I appreciate the case. Now I don't have to worry about my, you know, what I do with my chronograph, because that was always kind of, I got it and I started using it, but then it's like, you know, it's almost like the thing's made of glass, right? I don't want to drop it. I want to be very careful with handling it and all that. Now that I have a case, you know, it's not the end of the world. So I can throw it in the case, I can lock it up, because it's got those two latches on it, clamps shut really well. So good to go. Yep, laser cut foam, awesome. Looking forward to that. But the amp annealer, that's number one on my list. And at some point, oh, is he gonna score? Oh yeah. Oh snap. Oh, he almost scored. Wow. Oh, he was so close. So the amp annealer, that's number one. I don't think I want to upgrade my press. My press is perfect, in my opinion. That Mech Marksman is the bomb. The Mech Marksman, so I really like my press setup. I like my case prep setup with that Lyman Express. I don't really have any issues there. Cleaning my brass, I wet tumble with the Frankfurt Arsenal wet tumbler, the small one. No issues with cleaning brass. It's really just getting down to, you know, I want to make annealing a standard part of my reloading process. And, you know, to do that, which I know you can dial in the propane torch and the flame type, you know, annealing. I know you can be somewhat consistent with that, but you can only be so consistent with it from case to case, is my thought process, right? I know a lot of people do it. A lot of people, that's the only way they anneal, and that's fine. That's a very cheap way to at least ensure you're doing the annealing process. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where the more and more you hear about it and more people talk about it and you read about it, it's like, you know, annealing, it's almost like witchcraft. You either do it properly and you reap the benefits, or you're wasting your time because you don't get the brass hot enough, it's not hot enough long enough, or whatever, right? You actually don't perform the proper anneal on it. And so for me, just again, the way my mind works, oh, no, Zach, don't you even, you're gonna be in trouble for that. I appreciate it. That you, no need to give donations whatsoever, I promise you. But man, that's too generous, Zach. I really appreciate it, buddy. Controversial question that I battle with in low development: what's more important, standard deviation or group size on paper? So depends on the distance that you shoot, because standard deviation is going to matter way more the further out your target is. So that's where, like for me, you know, you don't necessarily, I do want tight standard deviations, but you don't hear me fret over it that much because of the distances that I shoot. me, traditional, right, hunting distances, I'm 400 yards and in. Again, I've never taken a shot on an animal beyond 185 yards. So for me, my standard deviation could be 100 feet per second. Like, it could be just some stupid number high, right? And 185 yards, nothing's going to know the difference because it's going to get destroyed by whatever it is the bullet that I'm shooting. So, but the further you go out, that's where, the guys that compete, I mean, that's your ignition has to be consistent enough to where you can have repeatable velocity results. That's going to give you a more consistent downrange. Oh, hey, well, I'm just happy to help you out. But so the SD, a tighter SD, you're going to have more predictable and consistent results downrange, right? They're going to be more consistent and more repeatable because your velocity spread is so narrow. Once it gets to a certain point, well, now your shots are so erratic in terms of your velocity, that's a whole different ball of wax. It's going to obviously impact your group size on your target. Like you're saying, your current load development is for my first NRL hunter match. I'm actually thinking about getting into that as well. So shout out to you on that. I'd love to hear how, what you think of it. I'm kind of dabbling. I wouldn't even say dabbling. That's not the right word, but I have been looking at that. I wouldn't mind doing that. That's something that would probably appeal to me. On the competition side, there's not much that really kind of blows my skirt up, but the NRL hunter, that one kind of does. 100, 800, yeah, SD, you should definitely be focused in on, because that at 800, again, the further your target goes out, that velocity inconsistency is going to make a huge difference on your impacts on target, right? Now, to go along with that, obviously they go hand in hand, right? I've shot several groups before where the SDs were like 30, but I'm shooting at 100 yards and my groups are like that, stacking them in there, but my SDs are garbage. Now, obviously, if my target was further down range, that would not be the case. Coming to Alabama for my first one in May. Oh, awesome. Looking to hone skills for hunting for sure. The other competitions don't interest me. Yeah, I'm with you there. You're speaking my language on that. For me, that would be the reason why I want to get into it is, I do take shots on game at shorter distances, but yeah, I would at some point, the plan is to stretch it out there and kind of, maybe take shots at longer ranges. If I'm ever able to take hunts out, maybe go out west or something or whatever along those lines, then I would definitely want to stretch the legs and make sure, hey, if I see, the elk of a lifetime and he's at 500 yards, 600 yards, and we just can't close the gap, but I'm 100% confident in my ability to make that shot and take that shot, I want to be able to do it, right? So I'm with you there. Really depends on hunting or if you're shooting long range, anything past 500 yards you want. Yep, exactly. Just like Zach said. Spot on. That's why you see all those guys, the competition guys, talk about single digit, SDs. That's what they need to have. Obviously as low as possible is the goal. These guys, they came close to scoring again. So, and that's the goal though, right? You want to get that SD as low as possible. And a lot of it comes back to starting with, you really want to try to get the best components you can get. I know Eric Cortina harps on that, where he's really dialed back his load development quite a bit in terms of the stuff and the work that he puts into his loads. He's like, just get Lapua brass, get Berger. For him, he's shooting that 7mm. Get the Berger hybrid 180. Get Vitavori M555. Just go buy that stuff, put it all together, and if you've got a good setup, it's going to shoot well. Well, the same goes for us, right? Even if you're just an average reloader who is doing it to hunt, well, it still kind of applies, right? Like, you want to try to get the best components, the best or the most premium components you can get or you can afford. That's exactly what you should do. And that'll go a long way in the consistency of your hand loads. I headed back out to Colorado for the second year in a row after elk. That's awesome. I hope you kill one. I hope you kill the biggest bull ever. I mean, I really do. Like, that's just super awesome. How's temp stability on Vit powder? It's supposed to be really good. I mean, Vitivori, what is crazy to me is that stuff was, I mean, and it still is. It's like the premium, it's like the Lapua of powder, okay? It's like premium stuff. And back in the day, I would not, like, I bypassed it because I'm like, man, I ain't gonna pay, like, dude, I ain't paying an extra $15 or whatever it is on top of a pound of powder, you know, back in the day. If I'm paying like $35 for a pound of powder, I was like, man, I ain't about to pay 50 or whatever it is for a pound of that stuff. But yeah, it's some of the best powder, probably the best powder you can buy. And now it's like the same price as everything else, which blows my mind when you find it. Most of the time you can find it online, and it's like comparably priced to a lot of Hodgdon powders now, which just is crazy to me because that's the top stuff. So now, I mean, I picked up, oh, what was it? Was it N560? Yeah, I think I picked up an 8-pound jug of N560 back. It was one of the trips we took to Kentucky to go scout. It was me and my brother, and we, or it might have been when we went hunting one time. That might have been it. And up to Kentucky, and Mid-South Shooters Supply, I believe, is in Clarksville, Tennessee, I think, or somewhere around there. And so we were heading through that area to get up there, and I was looking online, and they had that for, you know, it was like $3.50 for 8-pound jug, which is not cheap. I get it. It's definitely not cheap, but that's how much you go pay $3.50 or more for like H40 350 for 8-pound jug of that or whatever. It's like, for a lot of the Hodgdon powders and 8-pound jugs, you're paying close to that. Which powder of theirs is going to be the pick for 280 Ackley improved? That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. I wonder if 540 would be a good choice for that. I'm not 100% on that one. And of course, knowing them, they probably don't even have load data for it. They might or they might not, I don't know. I know you can go and download their app. They have a reloading app, which I believe is free, which is nice. And they seem to be updating that pretty regularly with new load data. Yeah, 550 or 555. 555, I actually saw some on the shelf the other day. That is a really, I think that's one of their newest powders that they came out with, I don't know, maybe a few years back. But that is really a nice, supposedly temp stable, that whole 9 yards, like really nice powder. It's really good for the 6.5 Creedmoor, also 555. And then of course, Cortina and all those guys that shoot this, was it the 7mm PRCW or whatever it is. It's like a 7mm PRC modified. Hang on 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back, hopefully. Okay, yeah, the little counter's still going, so I'm back. But yeah, I would definitely check. I don't know, 540 might be too slow. I mentioned 540 because I believe that's a 30-06 powder. I think you can use 540 and 30-06. I might be wrong on that one. Somewhere in that range. Go check out those. And their 500 series powders, those are like the high energy content, whatever powder. So that's sort of their whiz bang stuff. It's kind of like the Hodgdon Extreme line, I guess, if you want to draw a comparison. But yeah, you will not be disappointed in The Vitavori powders, I don't think you will. I mean, I haven't used a ton of them because, like I said, in the past, traditionally, they've always been the most expensive powder you could buy. But now I'm starting to use more and more of them because they're just comparably priced with everything else on the market. So now it's like, well, dude, if I'm going to spend, $40 a pound, 45 bucks a pound on some Hodgson powder, I might as well spend a few more dollars and get a Vitavori powder if it's available. So it's kind of been my thought process on powder. And then good luck getting Alliant powders on the website now. No low date. Yeah, that makes sense. I believe it. I believe it. I wonder if Burger has load data for the 280 Ackley improved, since they kind of fall under that. They're all under that same umbrella kind of thing. I bet Burger, if they do have load data for that cartridge, I bet they'll have Vitavori powders listed in that load data. So you could definitely check that just for like a comparable bullet weight to kind of give you an idea. I don't know if Sierra, I would think they would. Sierra would be another place to check if they have 280 Ackley improved data. I'm sure they do. But they don't have 30TC data because I was looking for some information on 30TC earlier. So, and they don't have any data in their 6th edition manual, I guess. Yeah, on that 280 Ackley improved, probably gonna have to do a little experimentation, which is what I'm gonna end up doing on 30TC. There's not a ton of data out there. Hornady, they have data in their manuals. They got data for it. How are you at the range shooting and paying attention to what we're doing, Zach? This goes back to my previous comments. You're like a reloading savant. Like a reloading Rain Man. Dude, you're all over the place and getting it done. That 30, what was it? That 30 belted Newton. That thing just sounds awesome, by the way. Oh, what's WCFD 5045? What rifle do you have that you have chambered in that 280 Ackley improved? Soccer game seems to be pretty competitive. I have no idea what the score is, but I haven't seen anyone score since I've been sitting here, and I've been here probably a little over 30 minutes. But they're getting after it. Like I said, that one dude ate grass. I mean, just straight up. Savage 110 Ultralight. Oh, that's your first Savage? Yes. Hey, take it from somebody I've owned, I don't know how many. Probably too embarrassed to say the number. Man, I've owned a truckload of Savage rifles. And the 110, now you got the ultralight. I had probably my favorite so far. I haven't had the ultralight. I've held one. I handled one at a local gun store here. And I really, really like that 110 ultralight. I ended up picking up the 110 tactical in 6.5 Creedmoor a while back. I've got videos on the channel about that. And man, I actually had to work hard to get that thing to not shoot sub MOA. It was insane. Like it just ate every combination of bullet powder I threw at it. There were a couple that it didn't like as much as others, but for the most part, man, that 110 just shot lights out. Actually, I had a 110 tactical. I've had two 110 tacticals. I had one in 6.5 Creedmoor, I had one in 6 ARC. And both just shot really, really well. A Remington 700 person, yeah, father was former Marine, so you can imagine didn't venture out much till, yeah. And I feel like I kind of feel like, you know, you're a very similar story to a lot of people, right? Which we didn't really grow up brand specific, so to speak. I hunted with a New England Firearms handy rifle, which is a break action single shot, chambered in 223. That's what I killed my first deer with. It was an 8-point. Killed it. I think we were shooting maybe the 65 grain Sierra Game Kings, maybe. Back then, this was a long time ago. Let's see, probably over 25 years ago. Yeah, there was a guy that my dad knew, a good buddy of his, that was a hand loader that actually worked up loads for it, and then that's what we took out and used to hunt with. And so for me, I was never really like, I don't know, my dad, he never really was like, oh, a Remington 700 is just the way, right? Like, this is, he wasn't like 30-06 is just it, you know, it was never that. So mine weren't necessarily, I wasn't necessarily pigeonholed into like a, hey, this is the only brand you should buy, whatever, because I had a 22 and had a single shot shotgun, and then we went and hunted with that single shot 223. That's what we deer hunted with. That's what I deer hunted with. And then outside of that, I really didn't have any firearms until I got old enough to buy my own. Got old enough to buy my own, get my, you know, have my own job. I mean, I was probably, oh, let's see. I was maybe probably 23. Yeah, I was probably 23 before I actually went and bought my own firearms, and actually started getting into it from that aspect. And from that point, it was kind of like, at the time, I could just buy whatever I could afford, right? And so it was very much a budget mentality. I didn't care brand was irrelevant to me when I first got into it. 3 options growing up: Remington 700, 30-06. Yeah, the old 742 Woodsmaster in 30-06 or Marlin 35. Yeah. Yeah, see, that just wasn't really that wasn't my upbringing, right? But that, I feel like that is a lot of people can sympathize with your statement right there. It was like, hey, we're going to hunt with either a Remington 700, you know, or a Winchester Model 70 in 30-06, or it's going to be chambered in 270, or you're going to hunt with a Remington semi-auto in 30-06, right? It's like, exactly. Talk about classic. Man, there ain't no telling how many game animals that combination that you just described there has put down. Like, it's probably untold numbers. Probably countless. But Savage, in my opinion, they have made massive moves in the firearms industry. I feel like they were a big part of just kind of pushing, you know, quality forward, in my opinion. And I have 2 Savage rifles. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different options. That's what's really nice about Savage too, is you know, it seems like they've got a different trim level, different price option. I mean, you name it, from basement all the way up to as much as you want to spend on a factory rifle. I mean, they've got some options for you. So that's really cool. One thing I'm not the biggest fan of is kind of the finishing on some of their, I guess, more budget-oriented stuff. They have more of that matte finish on them, and those I have noticed out of all of the Savages that I've owned, those tend to kind of collect some surface rust a lot faster than maybe some of the other firearm brands I've owned. Still on that 742 BDL. Oh, I'll bet that thing is sweet. Been handed down 3 generations now. Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah, that's one of those. That's one of those, man, you almost want to just throw it in a nice wooden case with a glass, you know, kind of like a glass display case, and just never even shoot it. That's pretty cool. But then that's sort of the catch-22 that I find myself in. Like, if I go out and get some really nice, you know, like one of my dream guns that's on the short list of guns I really want and probably would never get rid of once I got it, is a Winchester Model 70 Super Grade in 270 Winchester. You know, but then I would get that, and then I wouldn't even want to shoot the thing, right? It's so. Yeah, exactly. Only hunted with on fair weather days. I hear you. That's how. So I've got a Remington. I've got the new, but the rim arms. So the Remington went bankrupt or whatever and garbage, and then out of them came rim arms. So I've got the rim arms 700 CDL in 243 Winchester, and it's nice. It is a sweet rifle, and so it's the same way. I actually killed a doe with it this past season, but I think it went to the stand one time. I took it out of the stand one time. Yeah, and it was a fair weather day. I was like, no, I am not. That is not the gun you just go dragging around the woods and all that stuff up the side of a ridge and back down. Walmart Savage 11, 105 grain, Burger at 3080, nice. And a former 270 rebarreled to 338-06. Well, hey, 338-06, we got the man that knows all about that actually wrote an article on that on this live stream, Mr. Reloading Quest. He actually wrote a 338-06 article. I think it was for Handloader magazine, I believe. He's got a couple of articles out. Nothing beats the beauty of a 700 BDL. I would have to agree. I mean, they are really nice, just super classic. Yeah, 338-06 is his baby. With your Remington CDL, can you seat the bullets to the lands, or are you restricted to magazine length? I'll have to go back and double check, to be honest with you. That's not something I really played around with. I need to go check, though, because I'm trying to remember. I haven't really loaded. What have I loaded in that? I have to go back and look at my data. I'm pretty positive I checked my jam point for a couple of different bullets. And then, yeah, I need to go back and check. It's got that internal magazine. I just need to go see if I'm restricted on that. I haven't even messed with that yet. That kind of took a back seat. Like, all I did was get a good enough load to go hunt with, and then that's what I did. It was 85 grain Nosler partition. I didn't really mess with, you know, overall length that much. I just wanted to find something that shot halfway decent, and I took it out to the woods. So I need to check that. How does 338-06 compare to 338 Federal? Enough to justify the long action? Probably so. I have no idea, but I bet. Now, 338 Federal is another one. I feel like I'm being spied on by WCFD 5045. Got a deer last season. Killed 4, actually. Wait, yeah, killed 4. 338 Federal, that's a cartridge. That's another one that kind of piques my interest. Just wondering, as I'm looking at 1 in 243 and a Tikka T3X, as I want the 1 in 8 twist and be able to seat the bullets out. Yeah, well, the Rim Arms 700 has the 1 in 8 twist from the factory, so that is nice. I do like that. I wonder, I mean, I would imagine you could probably get more velocity out of the 338-06. Just, I would think. And that's probably, yeah, and as a reloader, that's the other aspect of it too. You could probably modify your performance, right? And, you know, with certain powder options. Same thing, I would imagine, same thing, 338 Federal. You could probably gas it up a little bit, but I bet you could gas up the old 338-06 a little more. Well, you won't hear any complaints out of me, Hudge. I think that's how you say your name. Hudge76 on the Tikka T3X. You will get the buy signal from me all day long on that one. Buy, buy, buy. I've had 2 Tikkas. Everyday carry pistol. It's an interesting question. Thought-provoking. Almost philosophical. What should it be? It's probably what we should be asking. I owned a 338 Win Mag and an M77. Oh man, wasn't a huge fan of that cartridge, so I may look into the 338-06. Well, I'm a huge fan of the M77, so. But yeah, the Tikka T3X, I've got, this is the second one I've owned. I had the Tikka T3X Super Light in 270 Winchester, and I really liked it, but I ended up getting rid of it and went and picked up a Tikka T3X with the laminate stock. Big fan of that one. Chambered in 270 Winchester. 3 Tikkas at the moment, but really like the 700 CDL. Yeah, yep. Yeah, the new Remingtons, or the new rim arms, I mean, they seem, you know, the quality. I've handled probably 4 now. I've handled 4 of them. I've owned 1, currently own 1. And currently own 1, and the other 3, so the other 3, 1 was a BDL, was a new BDL. The other 2 were CDL, chambered in 30-06, I believe, if I remember right. All 4 of them were impeccable. I mean, the quality was spot on the new rim arms stuff. The ones that I've handled. Those 4 samples that I've looked at, handled, all that, those, I couldn't find a flaw. They were really, really well put together. So I would like to think that, you know, the new stuff is kind of returning to some of that old Remington quality that people always talk about, of time gone by. I want a 6.5 Creedmoor. That's definitely one of my favorite cartridges of all time. 230 grain ELDX. Jeff Wilson said 230 grain ELDX at 2740 out of my, jeez. Boy, that's hitting like a sledgehammer. Can't get behind anything after single feed. Great for the range, but my goals are hunting, and single feeding isn't going to work for me. Yep, I'm with you there. So that's the other aspect of it too, right? It's like, what do you have to do to get a desired result and or performance level? And if you do run into a case where maybe you need to seat a bullet long enough to hit a certain goal, and then, but by doing that, maybe you're restricted to something like a single feed or whatever, right? You got to kind of balance all that out. Maybe you do need to step up to a different cartridge, whatever. It just gives you an excuse to buy another gun. A Bergara, to be specific. Which model Bergara? Because I've had a Bergara B14 chambered in 7mm 08, and I was less than thrilled with the performance of it. So that was just the base model B14. I know, you know, you can step it up pretty quick from there, like the B14 was the HMR and that type of stuff. But mine was just very much the base B14. which I do like Bergara rifles because they come with a Bergara barrel, and those barrels have been made for a very long time over in Spain, and they're supposedly some of the best you can buy. Then they started making, the B14 HMR. That'd probably be a great choice. And then they started making rifles, and yeah, they've definitely got a I don't want to say a cult following, but very much like a Tikka following. A lot of people love the Bergaras for good reason. Same reason I went away from Magnums. I want the extra round on tap, and the mag 280 Ackley improved gets me almost 7 rim mag performance, better capacity. There you go. Swiss barrels. Question? Yeah, that's when you start going down that road, right? Like that's, you could even go down to something like a 7 Wisdom. Go check that out. That probably stomps your 280 Ackley improved. No, I'm kidding. But 7 Wisdom is a hot rod 7mm. Holy smokes. That is definitely a great option if you're wanting to get into the 7 game. Man, this soccer game out here, these dudes are getting after it. I still don't think anybody scored yet, but whatever. Yeah, if you wanna get in the 7mm game, which is a great diameter for big game hunting, don't overlook the 7 Wisdom or the 7 Psalm. From a firearm standpoint, the 7 Psalm is probably at the top of my list for cartridges that I would like to own next. And then on the reloading side, like I've already said, it's the Amp Annealer. That's at the top of the reloading side of the house. Oh, I thought he was going to break away right there. Hope everyone has had a great Monday. Let's see. Monday, March 18th, and it is, what time is it? 18:08. Yep, it is. I'm going to start playing around with some heavier stuff in 30 TC. I actually filmed a video earlier today. I haven't uploaded it yet, but filmed a video talking about measuring. Isn't it tough to get feeding perfect for the Wisdom and the Psalm due to the heavy shoulder angle? I can't speak to the Psalm. I haven't owned one. I have owned 2 7 Wisdoms now, and I've had 0 issues, feeding issues. So I don't know. Maybe, possibly. For me, it wasn't an issue, but at the same time, now don't think that I went and put like 1,000 rounds down range and I've had 0 issues, right? That's not the case. I definitely didn't. I mean, between the 2 7 Wisdoms I've owned, probably shot somewhere in the neighborhood of 300, 350 rounds, maybe 400 rounds through them between the 2. I haven't had any feeding issues whatsoever, so. But that 7 Wisdom is, boy, that thing, you can definitely hot rod that bad boy. Okay, so Reloading Quest, he's in the same boat. He's got 3 300 Wisdoms, not had a problem, and 1 300 Psalm, no problems, but they're all Winchesters. Well, that's what one of, I will say that too, one of the 7 Wisdoms was a Winchester Model 70. It was the Winchester Model 70, what was that, Super Shadow, I think is what that was called. It's like the synthetic stock, so it was a Winchester. The other 7 Wisdom was a custom setup that I picked up secondhand. It was built on a Defiance Action I didn't have any feeding problems out of that. But I shot the majority of my 7 Wisdom rounds downrange were on the Model 70. I will say that. So just something to think about. You know, you've already got the 280 Ackley improved, so which is a great round, and I think another one of those that very much underrated. But in that 7mm world, you know, somewhere in that range, like the 280, I think, is it, oh, who is it? Is it Little Crow Gunworks? Yeah, I think it's Little Crow Gunworks. Guys, go check out their YouTube channel. They make the world's finest trimmer or whatever. And some other stuff as well. But they're actually doing so shout out to them. They're actually doing a series on 7mm comparison, cartridge comparison, because it's more geared toward the 7PRC versus other offerings that already exist in that 7mm world. And I believe 280 Ackley improved is one that they're testing alongside that. Keeping up with that series now, waiting for the next video to drop. Yep, same here. Best performing powder in 338-06 is Hybrid V100. Reloading quest, that do you like? Oh, you might be saying, what do you like in 338-06? So that's a question to you, Zach. But yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting video series, and it seems like they're kind of putting it out there as like a, hey, everybody, I know everyone, you know, has got their hair on fire about this 7PRC, but it's really not what you guys are thinking, right? Like, from what I'm seeing, at least on people posting stuff online, a lot of people are not super thrilled with the velocities that they're not getting, right? Like, from what, just kind of some videos I've seen and some people grumbling about it, you know, they're like, oh man, did Hornady kind of inflate their velocity numbers? And a lot of people are just like, no, we're not even getting close to the velocities we should be getting. And well, but you got to keep in mind, you know, I think Hornady's even said this on some of their podcasts that they do, and I'm a big fan of their podcast. They put out some great content. But, you know, they're checking everything with, you know, min spec, everything across the board. So, I mean, if you're min spec, I mean, I don't know, in my mind, as I try to think through this logically, it seems like if you're on the min side of the house, minimum, for those people that don't know what that means in terms of the specification, then your tolerances are tighter, everything. So would your pressures be higher, generating higher velocities? I don't know, right? I have no idea, but I know some people are a little miffed about that 7PRC. So I think that's why you're seeing a sort of a surge in popularity for some of these other 7mm cartridges, which is good. I think the 7PRC is kind of pushing some of that conversation of like, hey, don't forget the 7mm gang, right? Reloader 15 and N150 are my favorite for 338-06. That's from Reloading Quest. Over to you there, Mr. Wilson. So I don't know. Will I ever own a 7PRC? I'm asking myself questions. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm thinking I would probably own a 280 Ackley improved before I would own a 7PRC. Or I would own a 7 Psalm. Yeah. I'd probably do something along those lines. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I hope everyone's had an amazing Monday. And again, thank you, Reloading Quest, for the donation. I really appreciate that. Above and beyond, sir. That's what you're doing, going above and beyond. But yeah, I want to start to incorporate annealing into my standard process. That's something I've never done. I've actually never annealed a piece of brass, ever. So I want to do that. I want to get into that. But it's one of those where, hey, Alabama or Auburn, I hear you. And I'll answer that question. I've seen great results on 7PRC and Ruger American. Nice. Is that the Go Wild that you have? I can't remember. You mentioned it. You mentioned you had a Go Wild. Or was that 300 Win Mag? Again, I say I can't keep up with, like, I don't even know how you keep up with it. Roll Tide. All day, every day. Roll Tide, roll. And I have no affiliation to the school, to be honest with you. Like, I really don't. It's just, we were brought up Alabama fans. My grandparents had season tickets for a little while. And what's funny is they had season tickets back when you couldn't even give them away, right? A lot of people, especially new Alabama fans, are like kind of younger Alabama fans. They don't remember the days when we were absolute garbage, okay? And you couldn't even give the tickets away. That's when we were going to the games. We're back in the day, early pre-Saban, right? That late 90s, early 2000s when you couldn't give the tickets away and you had like 4 or 5 different coaches in the span of like, what was it, like a year or whatever it was. You had a coach get fired because he went to a strip club, and I was like, man, that's when we were going to the games. You couldn't even give them tickets away back then. It's crazy. Brass life will improve, and your SD, extreme spread, standard deviation will with annealing. Yeah, that's why I want to get into it, right? It's one of those where I'm wanting to add that step to the process just for consistency's sake, and hopefully some improvement in the velocity numbers. 7PRC is the Go Wild. Okay. Oh, you got PRC and the Go Wild, 7PRC and the 300 Win Mag. Nice. Those Go Wilds are pretty sweet. Yeah, the Ruger American was one of my favorite factory rifles. Budget oriented factory rifles. I mean, it didn't really get much better than that back when they first came out, and you could get them. I remember there was a local gun store down here, close to where I live, and they're kind of like a Ruger preferred dealer, and they would have Ruger days. Back when those things first came out, it was like you buy something and you would get the Ruger American, you would get like a free one. I mean, it was insane. They were giving the things away back when they first came out. You could get them for like $200. They'd run them on sale like $225 or whatever it was. And back when they'd do their Ruger days, it might have been cheaper. It might have been like $199.99, right? They'd run them on sale, and you could go and you could just, and those things shot lights out. And then of course more people started getting them, and then they did shoot lights out, and then next thing you know, there goes the price. I think people just like to hate on Hornady because they have been the leader in innovation for cartridges. People did the same thing with the Creedmoor 6-Arc, etc. You won't hear a disagreement out of me. So just like what I was talking about earlier with Savage and the way they have pushed, I feel like they have pushed the firearm, sort of the firearm group as a whole, right? Industry. I feel like they've kind of been the ones pushing it forward over the past, I don't know how many years. Definitely since 2018, since they kind of started that whole, hey, we're just going to call everything a 110 moving forward, right? We're going to kind of drop all these different model numbers, this, that, and other. We're going to focus on, this is the 110 line, and then from there it's going to branch out and kind of spider web and all that. And they've really started pushing. I think they've made a huge impact on pushing things forward. But the same way, I mean, Hornady's done the same thing on the ammunition side of the house. Like, who else is out there doing what they're doing? Nobody. You know, I mean, it's so yeah. Typically, that's how it works, right? When you're leading from the front, that's typically where you lead from, because it's pretty hard to lead from the back. So when you're out in front and you're the ones leading with innovation, you're the ones kind of pushing things forward, you're probably going to catch a lot of flack for that. Nice rifle for the money. It is. Stocks just suck. Yes, they do. They're pretty bad, pretty cheap. I've only built rifles off of factory teardown rifles. Do you find that the custom action route offers enough advantage to justify the coin? Ooh, boy, that's a good question. I bought mine secondhand, so I paid nowhere near full price of what that rifle assembled actually cost. It was a fraction of the cost of what it would have been to actually build that thing. Now, I know that you hear the guys that use the Cortinas and the F-Class John. You go and watch a lot of their stuff, and especially like I love Cortina's interviews that he does on his podcast channel. It's insane the amount of knowledge that those guys just freely offer up, right, in that podcast channel. So it's really neat to go and listen to how they think and their mindset on that question right there that you're talking about. Can you justify the additional expense? And it's it's in their mind, yes, right? You can, because you can reuse that action. You can rebarrel, right? You can that the action, that's going to be the cheapest thing, right? When you go down the custom route, that's what you hear some of those guys will say. It's like, that's the cheapest thing you'll buy is the action, because you'll buy one and it'll last who knows how long. You're going to be swapping out barrels, and then you got to buy bullets, and you got to buy brass, like all that stuff. So yeah, the Cortina channel, you should definitely be watching a lot of that stuff if you're not. Sea of red boxes for bullets here. Hornady must have a heck of a production volume. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Because when you can't find anything else on the shelf, guess what you can find? Some Hornady stuff. So man, they got to be pumping out the bullets, dude. They have got to be. I would like to go and take a tour of their manufacturing. Oh, this dude just put a move on him. Oh, and then it was a good move though. Yeah, I would love to go see their manufacturing facility. Just the volume that they produce. I mean, it's got to be insane. Oh yeah, we thankfully, the whole daylight savings time thing kicked in. What was it, last weekend, 2 weekends ago? So we had to spring forward an hour. So, I think the last live stream I did, it was dark at this time. And now the sun's going down. Why are you bold? Maybe you meant, why am I bald? Maybe that's it. And the answer to that one is probably goes back to the, what do you carry as an EDC? It's a deeper philosophical question that you have to kind of come to terms with and ask yourself is, why are you not bald if you're not, right? It's probably what you got to ask yourself. For anyone that does podcasts, Hornady's podcast puts out some great info on anything from hunting to reloading. What other ammo company is putting that kind of effort into their consumers? That's a great question. They do have them in Vortex. So go watch, if you don't watch the Vortex stuff, I would highly recommend checking out their podcast as well. They put out a lot of great information. They put out a lot of great stuff when they do like their cartridge talks and that type of thing. So, and you know, a lot of what they do is geared toward Vortex products, obviously, but they put out just a lot of great information as well. But yeah, as far as ammunition manufacturers, oh man, that's got to be a yellow card. The dude straight up Heisman'd this kid out here. He was dribbling the ball down the field. I'm watching a soccer game. He was dribbling the ball down the field, and the kid come up beside him, and he just gave him the forearm shiver. Yep. Yeah, Reloading Quest, exactly. Hornady really is pushing other companies to do better. Big reason why I like their stuff, and it's affordable. Exactly. They're definitely pushing some of these other companies forward. So that's Hornady's doing that on the ammunition side of the house, just like I was saying, Savage, in my opinion, has done on the firearm side. So agreed. You'll hear no disagreement out of me on that one. But it does make you wonder though, right? Like, where do we go from here? You know what I'm saying? Where does Hornady go from here? Because now it does feel like we're to the point where there doesn't seem to be anything, you know, new. I'll put that in air quotes, but there just doesn't seem to be anything earth-shattering, right? That's coming out, even by Hornady with their PRC line. You know, it's an improvement on stuff that already exists. So, you know, I think that's kind of where we're going to continue to see advancement, is in the refinement of cartridges that, you know, like the 270 Wisdom, right? That's probably a good example. The Winchester Short Mag lineup of cartridges, man, they were great. It came out bad timing, right? It kind of I think that was their downfall, was being released in the early 2000s before all of this like kind of like long range craze really caught on. But like the 270 Wisdom, well, now you got the 6.8 Western. It's essentially an improved 270 Wisdom. And so I think you're going to start to see more and more of that type of stuff, liking how Remington is changing it up and doing better on the ammo side. I hope they are, because that's definitely one brand of ammunition that, for whatever reason, if I shoot their factory stuff, their core lock, you know, stuff, the red and the green and yellow box, I have terrible luck shooting their core lock stuff. And I'm not talking about stuff that was made, you know, 30 years ago, sat in somebody's basement, you know, or whatever. No, this is like very much recent production, and it's just the brass quality is not on par with some of the other stuff. Now, I did have a box of the what was it? Their tipped core lock in 243 Winchester. That stuff shot really well, and the brass looked great. So, like you, hopefully they're getting it right on the ammo side. That Hornady ELD VT seems pretty slick in terms of innovation. The fine line between bullet BC weight and good velocity. Yep. Their tip stuff shoots good for me, but I agree the base core lock are bad. Yeah, exactly. That's been my experience. like I said, I've only shot that one box of the tipped core lock. It shot really well. But outside of that, you know, just their base stuff has never really been that great. Now the bullets themselves, I think that's part of the frustration for me is the core lock bullet is such a good bullet. Oh man, he just hip checked him. The dude's like, what? Where was the call? He got up pretty mad about that one. Dude just hip checked him. So the bullets I showed you last night are amazing. My 301 mag 301. Oh, I bet. But the bullet, even just the traditional core lock stuff, that's a great big game bullet. I mean, it's very traditional in terms of the design, but it expands. It's got that. Thought they were about to score, but it retains some of its weight. I mean, it's just a really good hunting bullet. The problem is the delivery system with which the bullet is housed in, right? Around the particular bullet, in my opinion, is garbage. That just is what it is. Again, my experience with Remington has been pretty bad, but the bullet is great. Like, I actually buy the bullet by itself when I can find it. I think I've got some of the 165 grain core lock, just the reloading bullets themselves. I think I have a bag of those at the house. Really great bullet for hunting. But man, the brass, just everything else around it, it's never really been that great in my experience. Oh, they gonna score? Oh man, he just ran that dude over. Oh, nope. Couldn't get a shot on goal. Oh man. But yeah, American Reloading is where it's at. You guys should be staying on that website constantly, checking for updates and in stock. Make sure you set up, make sure you go and get on their email list so you know when stuff comes in stock, because it's just a great way to get reloading components at reasonable prices. Like that big purchase of 300 Win Mag brass I made recently. Oh, got some Peterson brass to try. Well, you'll probably end up buying some more of it because that stuff is top notch. I put Peterson up in the same category as Lapua in my experience. I've used both. They are two of the best. They're in the top tier of brass, Peterson and Lapua. Oh. Goal. He scored. Finally. Dude had a breakaway. Put a move on the goalie. It's the first goal I've seen scored, and I've been since I started the live stream. But yeah, I've used Peterson in, I believe it was 308 and 7 Rim Mag. Really good stuff. And as much as I do like Hornady for pushing, you know, on the innovation side of the house, I've had some questionable luck with their brass as well. The just going and buying like the red box of the 50 count pieces of brass, I've had some bad luck with them. I've had some split necks, split cases, you know, which is sad to say. It's unfortunate. Maybe it's just my bad luck, and this is not old stuff either. I mean, this is new stuff that like got put on the shelf at Cabela's within probably the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 months. So it's not like just stuff that was sitting. It was 243 Winchester, so it wasn't like it was just sitting on a, you know, warehouse shelf somewhere. Pretty sure they were shipping that stuff out as much as possible. So that had to be new production, and I had 2 questionable pieces in that bag of 50, so pretty upset about that. I've exclusively used Nosler brass for my 280 Ackley Improve. Recently found some Peterson brass for it. About to try it. Yep. You will definitely like that. I have a 22-250 in the firing pin. It's bent. Can I fix it myself? I have no idea. No clue. No clue about. I'm no gunsmith. I don't go down into the fixing stuff yourself. DIY it, man. That's what YouTube's for. Surely somebody out there has a video on that. Finally, I'm catching the stud live. That's it. That is it. Let's see. Nosler and Federal brass are my go-to if it's from factory ammo. Otherwise, I sell the brass and get Lapua or Norma. And sort of similar on Federal. I'm a little off on Federal too. I'm just not. So the brass that I buy, that I kind of stick to now, Lapua, right? If they make the cartridge and I can afford it, then I typically try to buy that. Starline brass, probably, that's the brass I've used more than any other brand of brass. I have reloaded and shot, I mean, Lord only knows how many thousands of rounds of Starline brass in various cartridges. And that's kind of my default. I'll start with Starline. Lapua, if I can find it in the cartridge that I'm shooting and can afford it. If it's one I plan on holding on to for a while, because that's the other side of it too for me. Since I do buy, sell, trade, do all that fun stuff so frequently, and I don't want to invest a ton of money in super premium brass if I might not have that cartridge again for a while, right? So a lot of it's going to be Starline brass, Lapua, Peterson, Alpha munitions. Those are kind of the big four. Sig Sauer, okay? Sig Sauer is actually a brand that I would also highly recommend. I've shot that in 30-06, 308, 223, and 270. And I've had great results in terms of consistency and just overall quality of the brass and the amount of firings I get out of the brass. Highly recommend Sig. Ever play with Gordon reloading tool? If so, install it on a separate computer. How many firings would case before you had a problem? Well, that's the thing. I've never, let's see, the 6.5 Creedmoor, the Lapua brass that I've got now, those probably have the most firings on them. I'm probably up to maybe 10 or 11 firings on that particular batch, and I've never had a problem with them. And they've actually been used in multiple 6.5 Creedmoor firearms. So, you know, and I have yet to have an issue out of them. Agree with you on Hornady and Federal brass. I've not had that great of luck with either. Yes, Sig brass. Yep, I've had great luck with it. Yep. Yeah, just answered it. Yeah, sorry. I've seen Sig and Nosler. Exactly. So I picked up, that was why I bought so many of those 300 Win Mag, those primed cases, because they were Sig. They were Sig head stamp. That was the only reason I bought 300. I bought 3 boxes of the prime 300 Win Mag stuff just because it was Sig. And that's, yeah, I mean, it is really, really good brass. Now, I did get the Federal, the primed stuff from American Reloading. I got 243 Winchester primed, and I got the nickel-plated 270 Winchester. I believe it's the Federal stuff. I'm pretty sure. So I did pick those up, so I will have some Federal to play around with. Ever needed a small base die for resizing? I'm trying to remember. Ooh. I don't think that I have, actually. I'm trying to go back in the memory bank, and nothing's just kind of coming to the forefront here on actually needing a small base sizing die. Oh, yeah. Yep, that would make sense. Yeah, something like a Remington 742 Woodsmaster, small base die, yep, to get it to chamber. I could see that, yeah. Use small base for 223 and a semi. Yep, also makes sense. You'll probably see that a lot. That'll be more of a recurring theme. Use small base dies with semi-autos. Yep. For me, federal case capacity is consistent, so that's what I like in brass. Now, I did actually buy, this is way back, this is pre-COVID stuff, I did buy a bag of the federal gold medal match brass. And it was a 6.5 Creedmoor. I think it was just a 50-piece bag, but I mean, I checked everything on it in terms of doing a comparison. I think I did a comparison to Lapua brass on like weight, consistency, weight variation, length variation, that type of stuff. And it was really good stuff. I mean, it wasn't, I won't say that it was just as good as the Lapua, because it wasn't. I also went in and deburred the flash holes, and they were noticeably more, there was noticeably more of a burr on the federal versus the Lapua, but that's not to say it was bad brass at all. What happened to Mike? It's a good question. We may never know. Federal gold medal match is my gold standard. I love getting the American Reloading scrap brass. That's how I got Hornady match brass. Nice. Yeah, I picked up some federal gold medal match large rifle primers. Picked up 2 bricks of them back, I don't know, that's probably 6 months ago. Got lucky. They popped in stock on Midway. And so I just kind of bit the bullet, and, you know, it wasn't cheap. Of course, primers aren't, but it is what it is. But here recently, I've gotten pretty lucky on finding CCI number 200 large rifle primers. So I've been able to restock, because that was what was going the fastest for me, was large rifle primers, even though a lot of what I shoot for myself is small primer stuff, like my 6.5 Creedmoor, and at the time I was shooting a lot of 308. Both of the brass cases that I was using for both, you know, for those, they were both small primer. So I was using the Lapua small primer stuff for 6.5 Creedmoor, and I was using the Alpha Munitions small primer for 308. So I was shooting a lot of small primer stuff, but working up, you know, hunting loads for other people and doing several projects for other folks, I kind of burned through my large rifle stash. Norma has small pistol primers for 50 for 1,000. Nice. Got some CCI 34s. Seem to give lower SD. I've got some 34s as well. I think I've got a brick of those left. I had 4 bricks at one time. This was back during like the COVID, just absolute insanity. Literally, you couldn't, I mean, there wasn't even a primer you could find anywhere. Mr. Big Guns, gun store here in Huntsville, Alabama, they ended up getting a pretty big shipment of those in, and I was able to snatch four bricks of those, but I ended up like breaking them out and selling them to some buddies and stuff who were really hard up for large rifle primers. So I'm down to just 1 brick of those left. Free shipping on $150 spend. but no mention of hazmat fee. Yeah, that's where they get you. That's where they get you. When they start tacking on the shipping plus hazmat, you know, all that stuff kind of starts to add up real quick. That's why if you're going to make a purchase, if you can time it just right, you're like, hey, I'm in the market for powder and primers, and you kind of get lucky and find the primers you want, you might as well tack on, you might as well go big and tack on all the powder you need or want and just knock it out at one time. And then I think once you hit over a certain pound, you know, then they break it into multiple shipments and you end up having to, I think, pay additional hazmat fees. Powder going up like 60 a pound. Yeah, that sounds about right. Do you know of anyone who has bought used White River primers out of Arkansas? I have no idea. I have not heard. If you see any at $40 at shop, get it. I'm assuming you're talking about powder. Yeah, and that's I've kind of narrowed it down to there's kind of a short list of powders that if I see them out in the wild, I'll go ahead and pick some up. But for the most part, like H4350 for 6.5 Creedmoor, I mean, that's a given. And I've got an 8-pound jug of that I bought. Oh my God, this is pre-COVID. I bought that 8-pound jug. So I'm good there. And then, you know, I picked up that Vitavori M560 back during hunting season at Mid-South Shooter Supply for, in my opinion, a really good price. Slightly inflated, but it is Vitavori, but very comparable to what, you know, 8-pounders of Hodgson is doing, you know, right now going for. So I was pretty happy with that find. And then a lot of the other stuff, I've got plenty of, like Hodgson Super Performance is one of those I like to pick up when I see it. If it's a decent price. Man, that powder it works great in 270 Winchester and other cartridges, but huge fan of that powder in 270. Why is it so hard to get Marlin 336 parts? Well, part of the problem is it seems like everybody and their brother wants a daggone lever action. So I don't know, you tell me. I don't know how anybody can afford those. The price of those things have gone through the roof. Kind of scrounging for large rifle primers. I used to be spoiled with CCI, but at this point I'll grab anything. Can you recommend a good alternative brand that's available? Well, that's the problem. Just about nothing's available. If you see any large rifle, that's the way I'm approaching it. If I see large rifle sitting on the shelf or whatever, right? I picked some up the other day. I actually picked up some large rifle Magnum primers at Vans Sporting Goods over in Coleman, Alabama. I was driving through and just stopped in. They were limiting you to just 5 sleeves of 100, so you get 500. But so I picked up 5 sleeves, and I'm good on large rifle primers, so I didn't buy any of those. But any ones I see now, large rifle, I pick them up, or large rifle Magnum. And brand, it doesn't matter on brand. Whatever's available, I'll pick them up. 2021, I gawked at 8-pound of little gun at $240. Holy smokes, 8 pounds of little gun, 200. Man, you made me choke on my coffee. Golly, that hurts my heart. So Hudge, I guess that's how you say it, 76 KM. I have a family member in Arkansas that works for D&M Holdings, which is the parent company of White River Primers. He said they were tested against CCIs. Oh, cool. Ruger bought Marlin, and they behind on everything. Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. All I need is a new mag tube and spring. Oh, I can't believe you can't find that like on eBay or something, right? Like, yeah. Surely there's some out there floating around. There's definitely a market for them if they can get the stuff out. South Louisiana checking in. I'm glad you're checking in, but unfortunately, we've already been going at this thing now. My counter is 89 minutes and 28 seconds. So we kind of been streaming for a while. And it's just about quitting time. So I'm only going to hang on here probably another couple of minutes. Amsterdam in the house. Amsterdam, Tennessee? No, I'm kidding. How often does that pretty anthem singing lady perform? That's funny. Almost never, which is sad. But yeah, I'll tell you what, she sings like a bird. She's got a gift. She's got a powerhouse of a voice. So anyone getting ready for turkey season? Not me. I've actually never been turkey hunting a day in my life. But I'll tell you who is. Panola, if you guys can see it. Panola brand. So if you are a turkey hunter and you don't follow these guys on YouTube and Instagram, and you are doing yourself a disservice. Highly recommend you guys go check out Panola. Panola Productions, I believe, is the YouTube channel. Making my range time go fast. Good. I hope you had a great range session, Zach. I'm about to have to jump off here. It's almost time to hit the road. Have you looked at UTG scopes? Like Op3 crossbow scope. I have not. UTG, they make some pretty decent stuff though. In terms of, I've had like their scope mounts, that type of stuff I've owned by them before, or stuff they've produced. Bipods, that type of thing. I've never had a problem with it. Sitting between shots can get old. Yes, it does. I did that the other day when I went and shot some 300 Win Mag. That was the only rifle I took to the range, and so I was just sitting. I did more sitting than shooting, so. Oh, nice. Op3 crossbows, LVPO, long eye relief, and parallax adjustable. Well, that's pretty cool. Checking out. Thanks for the live stream and info. Look forward to the next one. Keep it up. Hey, no, I appreciate you sitting with us this long. This one went long compared to the one we did a couple weeks ago. So I appreciate each and every one of you, believe it or not. And even the weirdos that just like to drop in the chat and say stupid stuff and try to get me to say it on live. You know, I see you. I see you working. Checking out from Georgia, by the way. Nice. Southern boy. Y'all have a great day. Bye all. All right, yeah, this is where we need to call it. Zach, I hope you have a good rest of your session out there at the range. Look forward to to some more content you're going to be putting out. I know your project list is probably a mile long, so yeah, we'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one, and we'll catch y'all next time. Probably do another live stream maybe in a couple weeks or so, something like that. So y'all just try to jump back on next time. Yeah, we'll chat some more. So all right, that's it. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.